Hello, and welcome to another episode of Broadcast Movie and TV Talk. I was not expecting to be able to, without having to pay for, or at the very least, having to get a free trial of Paramount Plus, before I'd be able to watch any episode of their Halo TV show. But Paramount Plus put the first episode on their YouTube channel, so I and anyone else can watch it absolutely free. So I'm going to be talking about the first episode of Paramount Plus's Halo TV show. Before I begin, I want to clarify something about this show. I'm not going to be the kind of person that's going to tear into this show and rip it apart based on the fact that it doesn't follow the established Halo lore, since the show is a part of the Silver Timeline, which is different from the Halo games and the Halo novels. I'm aware that this show is not associated with any of the already established Halo canon, so I am not going to be judging the show based on that. I will only be judging it based on what I see in the show itself. I'm going to start with some small things before getting to the story and plot of the episode. All of the weapons and the vehicles we see in the episode, they look great. For weapons, you get the assault rifle, the battle rifle, the DMR, the Magnum, the minigun, the plasma pistol, and is it the plasma no, it's not the repeater. I can't think of the name of it now. But yeah. As for vehicles, we see the Warthog, the Pelican, the Condor, the Phantom, and there is a Banshee, but we don't get to see it up close. I think that all of the Spartan armor looks really good, and it sounds good too. Like, there's a sound when any of the Spartans are walking or running that the footsteps sound really heavy. But, the Spartans are still able to move around really quickly in their armor. Also, in terms of sound, I'm not quite sure if the weapons were sounding game accurate. I couldn't really get a moment to really listen to that. Now, something sound related that I didn't like much in this show was the music. The music just felt like generic action music, with them occasionally using the actual Halo theme, and I don't like it. What all the composers on the games have been able to do is make the music feel like Halo music. Even the composers that came after Marty O'Donnell did kept the spirit of Halo within the music and kept it, they didn't make it similar to what Marty did, but it kind of builds on what Marty did for the Bungie Halo games. The show has Sean Callery as the composer, and looking at what he scored, the only notable things I can pick up on are Jessica Jones and Inhumans, so they didn't pick the best composer for this show, in my opinion. I know that they obviously wouldn't ask Marty to do a show like this, but they could have brought back Halo 4 composer Neil DeVage, or Halo 5 composer Kazumi Janachi, if I'm saying that right, or, any of the 3 composers from Halo Infinite, instead of this nobody composer that just made a bland action score for Halo, of all things, for Halo. The OSTs are the biggest part of the games. Like, how do you frick that up? Anyway, now it's time for the plot and the story, and the biggest reason why I didn't like this episode. So the Covenant attack some outpost I don't remember the name of. They send in Master Chief and Silver Team to take care of the Covenant. Now, the people in this outpost have the belief that the UNSC and the Spartans are bad, and the UNSC sends the Spartans to wipe them out. That's what they think. Anyway, all but one person in this outpost gets killed by the Covenant, and so Silver Team takes our one survivor back to Fleet Comm, but Chief tells the rest of Silver Team to go back while he sees what the Covenant were looking for on this planet. He finds a magic triangle and he touches it, which makes him have a vision of a child and a white dog. We then go to Halsey, who gets a visit from head UNSC lady that I can't remember the name of, and she tells Halsey that 150 dead isn't a good look for her Spartan program, and that the committee is looking for any reason to pull the funding on the Spartan program. Because, that would make sense to stop funding the one thing that works the best against the Covenant. Your committee are a bunch of dumbasses. They also mention that they've been at war with the Covenant for like 10 years and know nothing about them. Fantastic. I'm glad we know that they don't know anything. We go to the Covenant side for a few minutes for a conversation between Mercy and a human who looks like she just walked off the set of the prequel Star Wars movies. Anyways, from here, Chief is ordered to kill Quan, that's the one survivor from the Covenant attack at the outpost, but he won't do it, so the UNSC tries to kill her by lowering the air in the Condor, and does this same to Chief, but just enough to knock him out. Chief comes too, because he can. And from here, the rest of Silver Team gets armored up, and Halsey tells them to protect Chief. The UNSC uses an EMP to make the Condor land, and then Chief uses the magic triangle to make the UNSC ship power go out, which allows Chief and Quan to escape. Also, I forgot the part where Quan isn't happy about being stuck with Chief, so Chief removes his helmet, and we see his face and everything. Because that's really the only way that Quan can realize that Chief isn't some monster in armor. Now at this point, 343 has made a statement saying that Chief taking off his helmet is supposed to humanize him more. And that is a load of crap. If I remember correctly, the end of Halo 4, the last cutscene, we have Chief removing all of his armor in one of those circle armor station things. And even when his helmet comes off, the scene cuts to black and they don't even show his face. So no, him taking his helmet off doesn't do anything. And it was very stupid. Now, I'm going to agree with everyone who has talked about this show and ask the question of who is this made for? I find it funny that they didn't want to use established Halo lore, probably with the hopes of appealing to folks who know very little to nothing about the universe of Halo, because you basically have to have some sort of knowledge of the Halo universe to watch this show. It's definitely not for bringing in new fans to the franchise, because new fans are just going to be confused at not knowing who or what anything is, because they don't do any world building or character telling in this show. And it's not for the hardcore Halo fans, because they're already still upset and are going to remain still upset that the show people didn't use established Halo lore to make the show. I'm glad, though, that they put the first episode on their YouTube channel, because I don't think, and I'm not sure yet, but I don't think it would be worth a free trial to keep watching this show or even buying the service, especially given that all of the episodes are not out yet. So maybe I'll wait for all of the episodes to be out and then get a free trial and just binge the rest of it. This episode is poorly written, poorly acted, has generic boring music that doesn't feel like Halo. On the upside, the opening action scene that takes up like 25 minutes of the episode is neat, but after that the show goes downhill. I do like that they will cut to, like a first person POV from Chief's helmet. And there was one moment in the set opening action scene that the shield recharge sound and whatnot happens, which I feel like was just in there to be like, yeah, we know what Halo is. That. See, his shield had to recharge. Like, okay, sure. I will say, though, I wouldn't recommend this show, as I don't think it's going to be very good. Maybe it'll get better, but I'm not going to keep my hopes very high on that. That's all I have to say, so if you want to add to the conversation, leave a comment below. As always, thanks for listening, and goodbye.